Hello everybody, welcome back. I hope you've not got wrecked, and if you have, I mean, we all get wrecked from time to time, but I'm not here to try and scare anybody, but I have a feeling that alts are about to really just get absolutely, just completely and utterly destroyed. And not all alts are going to feel the pain, but as far as all this DeFi business is concerned, I think that is over with for now. You can forget about that for a little while. It looks like the old school, the OGs of crypto are the ones that are managing to stay reasonably strong. But despite the move that we've had with Bitcoin today, I think that is more or less topped out, and we'll have a look at that a bit closer. But I mean, we'll go through it a bit closer anyway. I'll whiz through this video as fast as possible. There's a few things I want to show you, so I'll try not to ramble too much. First thing I want to show you is that the dollar, like I was saying on my video earlier, that the dollar looks like it wants to be putting in a base at a bottom here, and it looks to me like it could be forming higher lows now. So this being our low, if this is our new low, then basically we've got a higher low. We've basically got a higher high. If we can form a higher low, then we're in an uptrend on a dollar, and an uptrend on a dollar is going to be a downtrend for markets across the board. Okay, absolutely across the board. Now, I've been watching traditional markets. I like trading those anyway, they've been. I'll show you them in just a second. But like I say, if this begins to not so much reverse, the dollar is going to be weak for a while, and I imagine it will eventually break down from this level. But for the moment, it does look as though it's putting in a base, and actually it's going to bounce from here. So just to give a bit of perspective, we'll go to a weekly, and I'll show you that the level that we're at right now is a decent level for it to actually make that change. Okay, so we find a base around here so many times and bounced from it. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. A big one from 5 there. And now we're back down at these levels again, and could quite easily bounce from here, and it depends how high it's going to bounce. I mean, the weekly is very bearish, very bearish, but the last time we almost had this weekly cross here, we turned around at the last hurdle. So I don't know how long the dollar is going to be weak for. MACD is very nasty on there. Anyway, you don't really want to hear me talk about the dollar, but just a long story short, the dollar looks like it wants to bounce, and if the dollar bounces, and it is bouncing at this moment in time, and if it bounces much further than this, then yeah, markets across the board, including Bitcoin, are all going to be hurt by that. And just to give you a bit of perspective, this is the Nasdaq. Okay, so the Nasdaq is it's overperformed. So this is pre lockdown business here, and then we crashed and then made more than a V-shaped recovery. This is a complete absolute. This is unbelievable. I mean, this was like the chart. If you look at something like Bitcoin doesn't compare to something like this that just goes up forever and ever and ever. And I know everybody loves to trade Bitcoin, and I love it too. And crypto is great and it's brilliant. But when you see something like this, I mean, you know where your money is best in. Do you know what I mean? If there ever was a long-term hold, this is it. Do you know what I mean? But never mind. It is what it is. And corrections do come, and they come all the time, but this correction is becoming more of an apparent situation. We don't generally get too much of this going on the Nasdaq, and it's related to the pound. Not the pound. The pound has no value. The dollar is related to the dollar, and then you can see that we've been rejected from the center of the Bollinger Band. The Bollinger Band is facing down. We may be in a bit of a downtrend, and if the downtrend begins on the Nasdaq, it transfers over to many other assets, Dow Jones, S&P 500, and if none of this means anything to you, all I'm saying is that everything is tied together. Bitcoin, crypto, traditional markets, dollar, and commodities, they're all tied together. And I think a lot of people, we forget about the rest of the world and we get too involved in crypto, but the rest of the world is there, and it's so much bigger than crypto, and it has a knock-on effect. And this is something that I'm beginning to worry about at the moment, because I want to be holding my crypto. I want to be back in the crypto game, but I can't when I look at things like this. Like I say, if the dollar's bouncing and the traditional markets are dumping, then we have to turn our eyes to traditional markets to work out what's going on with them. The MACD on this Nasdaq does not look good at all. It does look like it wants to pull back quite substantial amount. And if it did pull back, I think we might be pulling back to around about this level. That's a 9% down from the Nasdaq. That in crypto is nothing, but for the Nasdaq that's massive. And already we had 9% already down, and that caused a massive fuss. People going, oh, it's just profit taking, just profit taking. It probably was just profit taking, but profit taking leads to uncertainty, which then will lead to people shorting, and that's something you don't generally have at the moment. No one's short in this market. They've given up short in this market for obvious reasons. All shorts were getting liquidated, but now people might be getting interested in shorting this again. And if you short start stacking on traditional markets, then we might have another problem on our hands. S&P 500, same deal, getting rejected from the center of the Bollinger Band. Not quite as bearish, but it's basically the same chart. And Bitcoin is in its bubble. Bitcoin is doing its own thing, and it's fine to do that, and I'm very happy for it to do that. But when you look at the rest of the market, alts basically, they are not doing the same thing. They are falling out of the sky. We'll look at the strong ones, which are obviously, like I say, the OGs, but look at these guys here. SXP annihilated with plenty of room to fall. We're way out of this support and resistance zone now, way out of it. There's nothing to catch us beneath us here other than these previous lows. There's nothing to catch us. We could easily break down below $1 at this point. XRP, it's not a scam, guys. It's strong. When you compare it to some of these other coins that we're watching falling from the sky, you talk about scams, you don't bring up XRP anymore. Harmony One of my favorites, is also falling out of the sky from top to bottom here. How far have we fallen? This is unbelievable. We've come down 57% and falling. I still think there's plenty of room to go for a coin like this. We're beneath the 200 exponential on our way down. Nothing to catch us on our way down. Probably find our way down into the 400s. That being obviously way below 0.5% and probably further than that. BNB, one of the OGs. So this is why I brought up some of these coins. So first of all, brief overview on Bitcoin. Is topped out in my book. This is topped out. The highest it's going to go is going to be 11,250. Where this purple line is here. This purple, which is the 50 simple moving average. That'll be the highest it's going to go. And if it does go there, it'll peak there and it'll come back down. And it's going to come back down quite hard if the following continues. If the dollar continues to rally, if the Nasdaq continues to fall, if the S&P continues to fall, Bitcoin will fall. Bitcoin it's in the bubble. The bubble hasn't yet burst for it, and it will burst. And I'm not saying it's going to go to zero or anything like that. Not at all. I mean, the lowest I expect this to fall down would be into the 6,000s. More than likely, it's not going to get that far. It will go into the 7,000s. But when we're trying to predict falls and drops of that size, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, and we have to look at things in support and resistances. So what this video is really about, is that if traditional markets drop, if the dollar bounces, then crypto will feel it. Alts are already feeling it, and Bitcoin is likely to start to feel that soon as well. And while everyone's getting bullish on this right now, I'm pretty confident, to be honest with you, that if we do make a move up, that's fine by me. For me, this is time to actually begin shorting. And this, I'm just saying this for me. I'm not saying it for you. I'm not a financial advisor, but what I'm looking to do will be to be shorting this. All right. The moves that we've seen with some of these alts, these lower cap coins, these DeFi coins, and whatnot. Those sort of moves can easily be had with Bitcoin. It can happen. Of course it can. It can happen with traditional markets. It can happen with anything. Those things can happen. The world's in a really tricky situation at the moment, as we all know, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's basically a big, giant bubble blown up by the Fed that everybody's living within. That bubbles always burst. That's fact. Bubbles always burst. Can the Fed try to have a controlled fall, which is probably their best bet? If they know that the bubble will burst, and bubbles always burst, the worst thing you can have is a burst bubble, because there's nothing to prop that back up. You can't fix a bubble once it's burst. What you can do is you can try and deflate that bubble, and so when it does pop, it's not as loud a bang than it would be if it was a big bubble. I hope that analogy makes some form of sense to you. It does to me. But I do operate on a completely different wave, I think. But you get what I'm saying. So if they feel as though the things have gone too far, and it's time to bring this bubble, reduce its size, they might try to increase the price of the dollar slowly to allow corrections, healthy corrections, to take place, and then they will start to prop it back up again. It's all manipulated. You talk about manipulation, talk about whales in crypto. You've got nothing on the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England and all these guys. So basically, that's what I feel as though what's likely to be going on here. They know that things have gone too far. They've resolved the financial crisis on the face of things, but really there's a dark beast hiding beneath all of that. They need to try and keep that beast back in the basement by basically staggering a controlled fall, and the only way to do that, I would say, would be to increase the price of the dollar ever so slightly, incrementally, and allow these stocks and assets to naturally correct, because the higher they go, they don't reflect the economy. The Nasdaq actually, surprisingly, is the tech sector which has done quite well throughout this whole situation, and that's correcting. The S&P is the one you want to worry about, and the Dow Jones, they're the ones you want to worry about, and actually they're down not as dramatically as the Nasdaq, which is strange. But never mind, I keep going off topic. So let's have a look at the OGs. So obviously Bitcoin's looking okay for the moment, holding up its strength in comparison to all the alts, very strong. We're looking at Ethereum also looking very strong. If this bad boy decides to fall, it will take all the alts with it, completely crippling it. Matic, really reasonably strong in for what it's worth. However, it's showing signs of weakness below the 200 exponential, looking like it wants to live back within this resistance zone, as we said on our video earlier. This is where it's going to live for a little while, and breaking down beneath here would be tragic, and it would be awful, and it would be probably a good time to buy it back. SXP, we've had a look at that. Terrible, poor show. XRP, surprisingly strong throughout this situation. Now, we have obviously fallen a dramatic amount. When you compare that to the DeFi coins, it's not so bad. It's half the amount almost, and actually finding decent bounces around here. But again, similar to Matic, breaking down beneath this layer of support around 23 cent would be tragic, and you'd find yourself down at 20 cent or lower. And BNB, despite the big moves it's made, that was one hell of a dump that it's had. So the point of this video isn't really to do technical analysis on all these. What I'm trying to say is that we are looking over the edge of a giant cliff, and I'm not saying we're going to make that jump and drop all the way down and completely collapse. This is early days, but the dollar, if this does become a higher low, which it looks like it wants to become a higher low, then that's it. There's going to be red for a week or 2 weeks or so, and depending on how far it takes us in traditional land, it depends on how far it's going to take us in crypto. Crypto is a bubble inside a bubble, so the big bubble can pop and this little one can float around for a little bit longer, but it can't stay up on its own. And at the moment, it has in itself had a V-shaped recovery, very similar to that of the Nasdaq. Is it time to take profits? It would appear it is. And in my book, I took profits over a couple of weeks ago now on pretty much everything. There's only a few things that I'm willing to buy at this moment in time, and they're generally not correlated to Bitcoin and crypto in general. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say about it. So just be very careful, and we're going to have to see how the rest of this week goes, and all eyes are going to be on the Dixie, so keep your eyes on that, and keep your eyes on these boys, because these are the things that are going to dictate the crypto market, especially this one. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice evening. Take it easy and subscribe.